All right, welcome. This is game 5 of the Team USA Team Germany matchup. Scores currently tied 2-2. We're going to see Alex Black, Team USA, playing Bara, Bara Assault, and then Carsten from Germany is playing Targ, Valerian Steel. They're getting going, but let me show you the decks real quick here. Targ, Valerian Steel, Valor D is the reset. Gifts of the Widow, I guess, is our restricted. Here to go and get all those lovely attachments. And then Bear Assault, running both Valor D and Valor M. And I forget, like, it's not going to show what's the restricted here. But all right. So they're getting going. All right. Karsten kept. Alex mulliganed. In the end, 3, 5, 8. It's a card. 8-card setup. I mean, 8 gold setup. So not terrible. And we're going building orders into time of plenty. Don't know exactly what Alex is looking for here, but okay, don't know what we're waiting for here. Carson's the first player. We should be having our building orders trigger. Okay, so a second black cells. Don't know if that was what Alex is looking for, but I think you can bring in a dupe as a trigger for black cells, so it's not necessarily terrible. Who knows? Maybe that's exactly what he wanted. Saris comes out, gets a mill icon, triggers Valerian Steel, drawing cards here, so looking for stuff. Okay, so Voltroning Viserys of all people. but I'm guessing because there's not much choice. Card goes into shadow. So what? So breaker of chains is right. Declares an attacker. Put another. Okay, did not bring black cells out of shadows. Just duped it.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's just trying to get protection out, and while he could spend, the two, respectively 4 gold to get the black cells trigger by bringing it out of shadows, that's just too much of a tempo hit for him at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So we're joined by Eric. Thanks for joining. What do you think Alex was looking for in the building orders?
Perhaps Chamber of the Painted Table.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he didn't see some sort of econ. That would be a very unusual situation. But honestly, a dupe is not a bad thought. Like, just get a dupe.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that political disaster is coming, and now he knows he gets to keep 3 locations. So he knows he can keep his draw and his black cells.
Gotcha.
And still have some econ or the Iron Throne. Like, he has a lot more. Being able to keep 3 rather than 2 locations is very valuable to him. And like, if say he has like a dupe of the Iron Throne or something in hand, and he can drop down like another dupe at some point before PD gets flipped, then he's sitting really well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a couple of cards that are going to be very important on the Targ side. The Shadow of the East is a very important card for them, and on the Baratheon side, therefore, privileged position to stop Shadow of the East is very important, because between the 2 players, they have a ton of summer plots.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, Shadow of the East effectively becomes, in marshalling phase, spend 2 gold as many times as you want to remove attachments.
Right.
And the 6 negative attachments that are in the Baratheon deck are very important to Alex's game plan.
So it looks like Alex did not, bring a card out of shadows to trigger black cells and prevent Viserys from kneeling.
He's sitting at 8 cards, so drawing with the red keep isn't super important to him this turn.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably happy to bring out a different card and deny a different challenge. Because the power challenge is like, it gets the star player 1 power for the unopposed, but it said sorry. Oh, he was going to. Let's see what action he was.
I mean, Alex is second, so what matters here?
I think he just clicked through his pre-challenge action there.
I see. Right, gotcha. So it wasn't that he had done end challenges. That seems like a good hit.
Yes. That's a nice hit. That's one card that you definitely don't want. He's a good power rush card, and getting him to the bottom of the deck is, as that said, there's a lot of shuffle effect, so he's going to be mixed right back into the deck. But yeah, not having him is nice.
Right, so table would be good.
I'm actually quite surprised that the Targ player didn't make more challenges.
Yeah, why not intrigue?
Yeah, he's the aggressive player against the control deck. I feel like I would have just swung in for a couple extra unopposed.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's something I'm not thinking about.
Okay, misses on the location. Oh. No, I'm sorry, misses on the the event. So that's kind of good news, right? Because you're concerned with shadows to the east.
That like, there's 2 events at 3x in the Targ deck, and both of them are very strong. Shadow at the East and Gifts for the Widow.
Mm-hmm. Trade routes is the restricted. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the fact that there's 8 locations out right here makes this a very nice, like a solid early trade route flip. Because trade routes is like a 10 gold plot with no downside right now, and that's certainly nice. So the card in shadows for Targ could be a Pinch of Powder. It could be Aegon. It could be Old Bill Bone. It could be Queen's Guard, though I think that
so there's a lot of things.
Not likely. So there are 4 targets other than Shadow of the East that it could be. So there's like a slightly less than 50% chance that there's already a Shadow of the East, but that's definitely a that feels like a risk that Alex is not going to take. He's not going to assume that it's not a Shadow of the East.
And he does bestow him. He doesn't always do that, but I guess the situation demands.
Yes, he absolutely cannot count on winning power challenges against the deck he's up against, or at least winning all of them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a surprisingly large board for Alex's deck for plot 2. Like he's and depending on what else is in the Targ player's hand, he might not be able. Like he can probably get out either like one large character or a couple more small ones, but yeah, especially with one of his characters getting controlled this turn by black cells, assuming he doesn't put down a confiscation or seized by the guard. Actually, let me look through what were the other cards that we saw in that exchange. So we saw Old Bill Bones, so we now know that the card in shadows is not Old Bill Bone and Queen's Guard. So yeah, that's definitely making me lean more towards assuming that that's a Shadow of These, because Aegon is the only other card that would always be put into shadows, where Queen's Guard is a card you usually would not put into shadows.
I love the Viserys Voltron.
Sarah's Voltron here. Well, he's a big old body.
Carson's chosen draw every time, so.
I mean, he knows what his outs are. His victory condition is Shadows of the East and getting out Daenerys and Voltroning her up and getting her into like multiple challenges, or Drogo into multiple challenges. Like build a Voltron, win the game with the Voltron, protected by Shadow of the East, knocking off the attachments. The other really important card that he's digging for is the 1x Confiscation. And
wait, 1x Confiscation? What do you mean?
Sorry, I keep saying Confiscation when I mean Seized by the Guard.
Okay.
Yeah, the Seized by the Guard is really big. Like if that card just sits at the bottom of his deck, then that's really valuable for.
And Black Cells would be the target, you think?
Absolutely, Black Cells is the target, because Black Cells single-handedly keeps whatever the Voltron is under check.
That feels good.
That feels good. Because, like,
These
I guess one of the
these intrigue hits have been headhunting the big guys so far.
we judged this matchup as being somewhat favored towards the Targ, because while the Baratheon deck has some very strong answers to Targaryen strategies, the Targ deck also has very strong answers to those answers. So, like, Black Sails is great, but Seized by the Guard kills it. The negative attachments are great, but they can be gotten rid of with
A single Shadow of the East on a
Yes.
summon turn, right? Can just clear out.
all of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Or even on, like, there's not that many up. There's only 6, so he doesn't even have to be getting it back with and doing it multiple times in one turn and marshaling. But the thing I really like about Alex's board position, and I think his thought process here perhaps, is he's got 10 strength in power challenges right now, and combined with Black Cells being able to manipulate stuff, he can just not lose power challenges pretty reliably. And I mean, obviously that's one thing the deck is designed to do, but like, one of the ways that he kind of becomes more secure is by sort of flushing out a Shadow of the East, because there's like a 3 out of 4 chance that there's a Shadow of the East in Shadows right now. Flushes it out and then hits it with a privileged position because he hasn't lost a power challenge yet. So I think the Targ player is also is gonna, once a negative attachment comes down, is trying to create situations where he can play Shadow after having won a power challenge.
Gates.
And this is something that Alex likes to do. Is interesting.
So what just got canceled there?
The Dragon Gate got canceled, but Hand's Judgment canceled the privileged position. I forgot that a Hand's Judgment was in their deck. They have 8 events total. Oh.
Ooh.
Really? Well, Pentos into Crown of Gold? That's just the...
Was that a random swing there, or
that was just the he drew 2 cards with the Dragon Gate, and one of them was Pentos. So here, free Crown of Gold.
And you defend in order to win the power
Yep. Now
challenge.
He defends, wins the power challenge, and turns off the draw from Red Keep for this turn. Though
pretty lucky.
Yeah. Though,
but you know, he gave himself a chance, and it paid off. So
yeah, I mean, he wasn't expecting to see Crown of Gold with that Dragon Gate. It's just a interaction that sometimes happens in Targ Steel, and it's like, oh, well, that just swung the game massively, and this is quite rough now for Alex, because he was expecting to lose a military challenge this turn, but he was expecting it to be Davos. So now he's going to lose one of his bodies, and his bodies are at a premium. He doesn't get to put as many of those into play, and I would not at all be surprised if next turn we see Targ flip Political Disaster. I mean, they'll lose a Valyria's estate, but they don't care too much about that at all.
Sure.
And yeah.
Ugh.
Yep, and there's Crown of Gold back in the deck, and there's going to be some shuffle effects coming in, and that can just randomly happen again. The Crown of Gold Pentos reaction is just one of those like, well, that's just a blowout play at random every once in a while. So I had liked Alex's position before
Before the Crown of Gold
out, but he lost a
home
lot
run.
more
Mm-hmm.
tempo, and he lost a lot more there than he can really afford to lose. So we'll see how this goes. I was surprised that he tried to cancel the privileged position, or cancel the
Draw.
Dragon Gate, given how much draw the Targ deck has. 2 cards is kind of borderline irrelevant to them, like they're already discarding for reserve. But the fact that it got canceled by the hand's judgment also kind of just means it doesn't really matter. It does make me wonder if he has a second privileged position in hand already, though, letting him be a little more aggressive with the first one. So, let's see. The swarm of little guys is kind of a problem for him because they're able to just win challenges at him, and he doesn't have to commit a board that'll be vulnerable to a reset. Because Valor to Harris is a waste right here. And he definitely wants to save the Valor Morgulis to keep Targ honest. So, yeah, there's a
you were right. PD happened.
I'm somewhat surprised that he flipped trade routes into the PD. I guess he really didn't want to flip his other option in counting coppers.
Yeah, I mean, he knew he would be losing that and that he wouldn't, but...
Yeah, and
chose Gates over Iron Throne, but...
Yeah, he can find the Iron Throne again. He needs to keep his economy. So yeah, his economy, 7 gold plus the gates, 9 gold is not a lot to stabilize this board.
Okay, the dupe was the easy decision. You still there?
Yeah, I just the window for a second.
Okay, Quaith is now a Tricon.
And he's just digging for some pieces.
Yeah, and...
So the other thing, though, is that with the board as is, if Alex does put down table chair, that's really going to slow down the Targ player and really force the Targ player to put down some bigs and make themselves more vulnerable to a reset. All right, now there's 3 cards in shadows, which at that point he's absolutely got at least one Shadow of the East in there.
All right, $8 to play with here. What am I missing? Why am I being dumb that Alex only got 3 gold instead of 4? Trade routes plus gates.
His
would be
agenda.
4. The agenda. Right. That's it.
I also forgot to say that earlier, and I was thinking about his total gold.
Two cards in shadows.
So the other thing that can happen now is that because Viserys is a lord, Jiqui can start loading power up onto him. That said, that power can be knocked away at will with a Valar Morghulis. So
Yep.
it's not very secure given that he's a 1x, and he'd have to find the interesting that he put a Milk of the Poppy onto
That tells you something, doesn't it?
Viserys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
that
definitely
he's gonna
means
die
that
soon.
that means he has another attachment that he wants to put out this turn that is going to that's important to him.
All right.
You kneel probably. I don't know if you kneel Jiqui or you kneel Viserion. Probably Viserion.
I mean, it's a without attachments, so.
Viserion.
Oh, Viserion, not
Viserys.
Viserys. Okay, yeah. Thanks, George.
Yeah. Well, Black Viserys gets black celled.
Yeah.
So it seems like Alex knew he was going to bring out the Shadow Priestess first action, but hadn't decided who he was going to kneel with her yet.
Drogon.
He's decided that he wants to win the
Defend the
military
military
challenge on
challenge,
defense,
yeah.
which makes sense. So I think he's got 2 gold left. Probably means he's got something else that he's going to do with his Shadows card. Question is what? He's also so his next plot is definitely going to be at the gates,
Okay.
which will get him back into the game, so to speak, with economy.
Shadow Priestess is real good.
They're very solid.
Yeah. That power's good, and then it's actually a really solid body.
Mm-hmm.
And what the choice is to defend the power here, right? Or if actually they could do both. So, but C4, it still defends though, right? Even they
Yeah, and that's the
swing.
thing is that
So
she's got 5 strength with keep.
The intrigue's gonna go through, right? That's the choice, probably. I mean, who knows how Shadows affects this, but
Yes, I think what Targ player is deciding is whether I think his conclusion is going to be I'll send the intrigue, win it, and then probably just send the power. Interesting.
or
There must be a variable that I'm not thinking of here, because
mm-hmm.
now he gives up a power challenge on defense.
Yeah. Unless
Where he
again,
could
there's
have.
I almost feel like there's something we don't know, right? Ooh, Shadows of the East. Privileged position. Oh, the gifts. Yeah.
So we thought that he might have another privileged position.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of what that Shadow of the East would have been going for. Probably something that would have just boosted strength. It was a 1 gold.
What the Gifts of the Widow would have done. Let's see.
Yeah. Like, Water Dancer's Sword would have won the challenge and then started generating good econ for him every turn. Yeah, keeping. I mean, Alex hates to use his second privileged positions with all of those Shadows of the East still out there.
This is interesting. So the Prince is going to show up. Do you think there's any chance that Targ thought a reset was coming?
I don't think so. Their
Okay.
board is really.
It's not so bad. I mean, things are not dire.
So I think it's perhaps that they just didn't have other plots that they
Yeah.
wanted to flip. The other thing is that they have reasonable econ here. They've got 2, 3, 6 plus whatever they can generate with their agenda. So that's enough to put down a big character and then find the dupe for the big character with Prince Who Came Too Late. Because that's one of the lines that the deck can take, is that you literally use Prince Who Came Too Late to go find a dupe.
Just to
it's
go
like
find
terribly
a dupe.
economically inefficient, but sometimes
But it gets you through the
just
reset.
getting
Yeah.
that one dupe, like
Yeah.
he's gonna say, all right, I'm gonna get out Drogo, who he can afford with what he has right now, or Daenerys, and then go find the duplicate. There was one Daenerys in the discard still, and that's actually why discarding her was so useful, because it meant it denied that line of play until he draws a second. There's a lot of econ left in the deck.
Okay.
So yeah, while I don't think Alex wanted to have to use the privileged position there, it was definitely the right call. He lets him win a power challenge. It denies agenda triggers every single turn from here on out. And the thing about this Baratheon deck is that it doesn't so much completely lock its opponent out of the game. The main thing that it does is, like, it just keeps them controlled enough to close with table chair and grinding out power challenges. So interesting plays. He's clearly not decided to marshal the big and
If there
fish
even
for the
is
dupe.
one.
Yes, like he might not have had one. That does mean that he's going to find somebody who's not going to have a save.
Yeah.
Unless he has Gifts of the Widow in hand and a 0 cost attachment. And the 0 cost attachments in the deck, one of them is already in play. What else is in there? There are no other 0 cost attachments in the deck. So I don't believe he has any way to gain a gold to put a bodyguard into play. So whoever comes into play is basically going to get Valard, I think.
I mean, getting another character down with a dupe helps.
Yeah, dupes on Jiqui and Rhaegal are certainly good. It does make it this an awkward choice. The thing about this situation here is that and the thing is that if he does reset, All of the attachments on Viserys get to go back and be replayed and turned into new cards,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is so he gets a ton of draw in response to a reset because Valyrian Steel, so much draw. Who knew that just having an agenda that was draw 3 cards a turn, assuming you fulfill some conditions, was going to be really, really good. I remember when the agenda came out and a lot of people were like, this isn't good. 75 card deck and 1x for all the attachments? Where am I going to find enough attachments worth playing?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out most of them are worth playing if you get to cantrip them.
Another milk.
And so the thing is, he's putting milks out on targets that are not necessarily great targets, but targets that kind of annoy.
Well, and Jikui's also liable to survive a Valor too, so that
Yes. Like Jikui being milked is really annoying because she is a source of power acceleration, but it's also like on this turn you're like, is it worth using a Shadow of the East that you won't get back to take it off of her?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is probably not.
Ouch.
That was not the card he wanted to lose, but there is at least a second one of those in the deck somewhere.
Guess what part of the problem is that Alex isn't really winning dominance anytime soon, probably, right? With locking down a 9 strength Viserys with black cells, like there's no dominance.
It wasn't
wins.
an immediately useful card to him. Man, he keeps using Davos for claim, and so he's not losing board position, or like he's not losing cards, but spending 4 gold for your military claim every turn is kind of rough. That says he does get some reasonable use out of him.
Yeah.
Like he gets to win the power challenge.
Yeah.
And he's grinding away power challenges. This is what the deck wants to do. Interesting.
Okay, was there some...
So Daenerys comes down. She does not have a...
Is there a trick
here? I don't see a way to put a bodyguard into play. I mean, Daenerys can just roll the dice, use her ability right now, and maybe she just finds one. She gets the Silver Steed. So I think you have to... I think there's like... He has to Valar here.
Well, the trick is what? If you can get the... I don't know, well, yeah. How does... The bodyguard's not going to can't happen now, right?
Well, so yeah.
If it was going to happen, it would have happened, yeah.
If it was going to happen, it would have just happened. So I think what you see here is Valar Dohaeris into Valar Morghulis.
Right.
Unless...
It just happened. That's you're exactly
somebody...
right.
Okay, I was going to say, like, unless somebody wants to play some serious chicken mind games. So, yeah, this...
And Alex chooses to kill off those 2 characters to thin his deck a little bit.
So... I mean, they're good characters. He wants them in general, but kind of a marginal case either way.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that was a choice. Could have let him go to the bottom of the deck. Didn't. Ugh.
So Pentos goes out on he Pentoses Queen's Guardian on Jikui, which on the one hand, hey, 3 gold for free. On the other hand, you stuck it on Jikui, who's not who you wanted to Voltron.
Well, what just happened? Did Okay, drew the card in draw. I see. And then, so we know exactly what he pulled there, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know one of the cards he
And
pulled.
they're
He drew.
seized by the guard. Ooh, feels bad.
Yeah, he thought him seized. Ah. And that's the big weakness of this deck. It's like you hit one seized by the guard against it, and you turn off the black cells for how many turns? 3 turns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the Targ player is expecting to win in 3 turns, and that's very reasonable for them to do. Like this plot flip is basically, it's a really good one for the Targ player because they managed to use Valor to Harris their own reset at a moment that's optimal for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get benefit from it rather than having the bigger board and having to flip their own reset on themselves later in the game. And keeping Daenerys out of the dead pile is huge. Like if Daenerys hits the dead pile, that's really big for Alex because he can, like, that's one of the biggest threats in the deck. She's just such a massive value engine left on the board. And at this point, we've seen 2 of his milks, and even assuming he has the 3rd milk, I would not be surprised if there are 3 Shadows of the East in Shadows right now, given that there are like 2 other cards that would be put in Shadows in the deck. But so probably at least 2 Shadows of the East in Shadows. And so even if he has Alex has a 3rd privileged position, he can't really do much about it. Just sitting here trying to figure out what the heck he can do, and I think the answer is not a lot. Like Daenerys coming down right here is just so bad because like at least he could have hoped to keep her off the board before, and like maybe have a couple turns until the Targ player finds her. But nope, he's just gonna start getting every single one.
There's your milk.
Yep, I think this is his one line is chamber goes down. His one line here is trying to get the Shadows of the East out.
Well, at least Jiqui is milked.
Hope that, yeah, at least Jiqui's milked, so Daenerys won't be gaining power super fast. And here's the thing, like, yeah, you have to give up the unopposed intrigue here and hope it doesn't pull your privileged position. Okay. And then you...
Yeah, is there any way to defend the power challenge here?
Well, the way you defend the power challenge is with a Traitor to the Crown, which is going to absolutely bring out the Shadow of the East. So if there's only one Shadow of the East in there, then you bring out Traitor of the Crown, force him to use a Shadow of the East, cancel it, and then you've won the power challenge, and you survive until another day. If he's got 2, then you're just kind of sad.
Now what he didn't,
but I think that's the line.
He didn't Queen's Guard to stand Jiqui and go in with 2 characters here.
That maybe he didn't see that line.
So there's the trader.
Yep, there's the trader. Or maybe he just knows that he's got the 2 shadows, and it's
There's
like, I
the
don't
shadows,
care.
yeah. There's the shadow of the east. There's the second. And there's the second. So you like, this is what the classic like make 'em have it type of.
Yeah, this was the make him have it mode. He didn't even have the third privileged position, which would have.
Oh.
Yeah, and the Targ player knew he had it.
Yikes. Yeah, right. And this, he kind of telegraphed it by not including Jiqui there, right?
I mean, it was a case where he didn't have to telegraph it because he knew he was safe no matter what.
Yeah.
At that point, like, I guess Alex hopes it's a misplay, and he actually, like, there's no cost for Alex to demand that he's got it. And the one tiny little upside here, is that there is no summer plot this turn.
Left.
And so he probably doesn't have a third attachment yet, so the milk stays. Or he probably doesn't have a third shadow of the east yet, so the milk stays. And he immediately put one of the shadows of the east back into his deck.
Gifts.
But with Daenerys milked, he does not have an on-demand shuffle, I don't think. Yeah, he does not have a shuffle.
And then Alex knows he's not getting Robert out. Probably.
Yes.
Well, this doesn't look good.
No, it does not. But Daenerys probably stays milked, and so now what Alex prays for is that that Targ doesn't see its third shadows, and that he sees his third traitor quickly.
There you go. Nice hit.
Yeah, and getting these really nice Pentos triggers is not helpful. And hey, good.
I mean, Pentos is one of those high variability cards, but it's been.
It is. Like, it's usually solid value, but there's a couple times.
Ooh, that hurts even. The Old Bill Bone.
Yeah. The fact that it wasn't the third Shadow of the East is good. Like, Old Bill Bone was actually, like, the least bad option at this point. Well, I guess Aegon was the least bad option. Old Bill Bone was the second least bad option. But
well, only 2 gold left on Seized by the Guard on Black Cells, so we're getting there.
Yeah, survived 2 more turns, and look out. But yeah, he's got to get a ton of, like, 2 turns of just unopposed challenges will get him to 15.
Do we just see Davos put back out there to?
I mean, you could, but Vanguard Lancer's a better one. He wants cheap bodies, and the thing about Davos is that he's not cheap. Like, putting out Davos and getting him killed every turn is, sort of card advantage.
It's also required for Alex Black to play Vanguard Lancer in every game. Like, it's in his contract. and no bestow on Devin. So
Cheap chump to block the military challenge. So he can oppose 2 challenges this turn, and he does have table chair going, which is one of his very few outs. But the thing is that he doesn't need Daenerys even in these challenges to win all of them. But now she has renown, so she'll go ahead and just go into those challenges and be pretty happy. Targ might be able to just close right now because he can do 2 power from claim.
he can do a second power, right?
Yeah, second power. He can steal 3 power challenges, 3 power on challenges. He can gain 3 renown, and he can get on an opposed intrigue. Yeah, he's got it. He'll close this turn. This is just a really uphill battle for Alex. Like, a lot of it just simply depends on. Yeah, he sees it. Like,
Yeah.
Targ has to have like a bad draw for him to have a shot, because like if Targ sees like its stuff and doesn't misplay, then
Targ
Alex
looked frustrated for a while, but got what it needed eventually. And it certainly it hit Pento's hits. He pulled Daenerys when it needed to after losing it. Like, this would be a very different game there, but
yeah, I mean, honestly, there could even have been the second Daenerys in hand.
it could have been in hand. Yeah, exactly. It could
He
have been.
brings one in, marshals it, or brings one in, flips his reset to get rid of the one that was going to die, and then knows he's going to immediately marshal the second one.
Right. All right. So 3-2 Germany. I don't think we have anything. We're still waiting for Alejandro to schedule, I think. Right now we've got. You're playing Sunday at 10, right? 10 Pacific.
I think 11, but I don't recall. I'll check.
Okay, on my sheet it says 10, so let's double check that. Let's definitely double check, because it's easy to get the time zones screwed up. But yeah, we should have a couple matches. You and Mira are playing on Sunday. We still don't know when Targ is going for USA, and then Chris will play on Tuesday, and let's hope that match matters.
It's 10.
It's 10. Okay. So 2 matches, Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific and Sunday noon Pacific are the next 2 matches that I know of in this matchup. Well, Eric, thanks for jumping in and helping. Helped a lot. Appreciate it. And have a good 4th of July weekend.
You too.
All right. Good luck Sunday.
Thanks.